This week we're going to be talking about all things conspiracy related to the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. There have been so many different individual posts on the conspiracy theory. It's Reddit. It's really on fire right now. People are really into this. They're really talking about it and they're really theorizing about all kinds of crazy things. We bend it off into a couple different categories that we're going to be talking about: the Secret Service conspiracies, around some of the theological implications potentially, and also around just sort of the changing nature of, I don't even know how to characterize it because it's really not a conspiracy, but it's a change in the air around the way that people talk
Maybe
about
the
things.
current belief system right now this is what it is right now
The
because
zeitgeist has
everyone's
changed,
it has.
Yeah, something has changed in the air. Let's hop into it. Yeah, man. So many. I think just I want to characterize them as dog water
Conspiracy
conspiracies.
theory. Have you seen the latest one that the assistant FBI director was there and that she was giving like code to like the shooter? It was it's ridiculous. I was like, bro, you guys are reaching. Poor lady, bro. She just got shit on, that lady. Woof.
Well, let's start with some context. Obviously,
All right.
most of this week's discussions, and actually most of the weeks that we've had, have been around conspiracy, not
Absolutely.
necessarily paranormal, not necessarily UFOs. This is the area that's a hot spot for America right now, and is
Oh man.
all centered around. Uh, we talked about inflation last week. We talked about Boeing, right?
Hmm.
And which is another profit-driven conspiracy, but also politics. And so here we are now with obviously the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump, which happened last Saturday. And I just starting off from, let's start it off from the beginning, right? I'm playing games with people where we
Hmm.
have a rule as a group that we do not talk about politics. Plain and simple. And you know why this rule exists because you've.
I get it because it's the same group of like my online community. Same thing. We do not talk about politics. Very minimal. Some people throw things here and there, but most of us are like, nip it in the butt. Try not to. We have some people that are like right, left, middle, don't care. So because we're there to not talk about that. I think is what it comes down to at the end of the day.
Yes, and it gets weird and it gets oddly hostile talking about politics as soon as things aren't jiving right, and then it's too late, right? And then all of a sudden people don't want to
Yeah,
play
yeah.
the game together.
It's guilds break up, clans break up.
Yeah. So anyhow, someone posts in the general chat about Donald Trump saying if we think he's going to be okay, and immediately someone chimes up and says, "Hey, we don't talk about politics here." And about 5 minutes later, I saw that and I was like, "Oh shit, more politics." About 5 minutes later, someone said Donald Trump fell on the stage, and immediately I was like, "Old man falls. This is just Biden all over again. They're both so
Okay.
old." And so I tab out and I start looking, and I'm like, "That's weird," because I think it was CNN. I don't remember who I was watching, but I was watching a live feed, and they were saying that he fell on stage, but they were replaying the fall, and I was like, "That's weird. It looks like something happened to his ear, and that's a gunshot."
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you my story, the similar thing, right? Which is we're going conspiracy theory route right now, like hard. Okay, so I'm at work and it's slow. I can't understand like why it got really slow during this period of time. Like no people were coming in, no cars were out. And I live in California. You're from California. You're born and raised, right? So we're a very blue state. So I didn't think anything of it. My coworker said, "Oh, she said someone tried to kill Trump." Is what she said. My coworker that her husband called her and told her. So I did the exact same thing you did. I went on my phone, I checked all the newscasts, and it said loud noises heard at the convention. Trump rushed off stage. Loud balloons blew up. Trump, unknown what happened to Trump. And then one of the other one was Trump fell. The same thing, like you said, Trump fell, and it shows him like down. And then I didn't see that. And then I drive home. There's no traffic. I get home, and it's a different story.
Mm-hmm.
I check Reddit, different. I go to other websites, and everybody on YouTube is streaming it, right? But the news channels like CNN, a bunch of the other ones don't have anything about the shooting. Like they never said anything that he's like, hey, Trump got attempted assassination attempt on him. And it was like the weirdest thing that I was like, what in the world is going on? Like, why aren't they reporting this?
Mm-hmm.
And then I started seeing a couple Reddit posts about it, like, hey, they're not reporting. Trump just got uh, attempt, like assassination attempt, and I was so confused of what was going on that I actually told my coworker before I got home. I was like, "Yeah, I don't think it's real. Like the the websites are all saying that it was loud balloon noises pop that they weren't too sure, and that's happened before. Like they'll hear something and duck down and or they'll over panic. But no, this was different. And then everything just started happening. Everything started. All the media started just like they swapped it. Like they turned the switch on. It
Yeah,
was the
there was
weirdest
a
thing.
there was a huge gap in time between the mainstream media reporting it as an assassination attempt, and even I think now, I think MSNBC, some of the language that they were using was, they're not using the language and it's intentional, I think, generally speaking, so that they don't want to garner sympathy for Trump based off of politics. Personally, I think that that's kind of garbage. Like, I don't think.
It's terrible because anybody would want to hear, regardless of like if you're for the candidate against the candidate that the candidate had, someone tried to kill him, and
Right.
like I would want to hear that going like, oh shit, and it's the same feeling that I have. I was like, oh, I hope he's okay.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
I don't as politics, like let him believe what he wants to believe, but
Yeah.
I don't wish death on anybody like that. Like you know,
I'm
it was just such a
100% with you. Like, that's one of the main issues, I think, is that there's a lot of people who are not on that wavelength. And I'm talking about, I don't care what people's politics are. You know, what I care about is, I wouldn't want Biden to be in this position. I wouldn't want RFK to be in this position, which he's been explicitly denied Secret Service details, right, for the duration of this election cycle. So, and he needs them, like he really does, right? Like, I think at the end of the day, he's got like a Kennedy name, and he is a target.
yeah.
And
He should be protected.
yeah,
Like they've just been
absolutely.
denying, denying, denying.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is it's like, I, I hate what the media did with this. I hate the politicizing of, oh, we don't like him as a candidate, so we're going to use different language to describe the situation or omit truths, or it was an assassination attempt, and it became very clear online very early that that was the case. And again, I'm with you 100%. Like, I don't want to have the arena where I want to see the battling is in the arena of the ideas. Let the best ideas win out, not who did who managed to survive an assassination attempt. You know, it's absolutely ridiculous. But, getting into that, right? This is a week later. So many conspiracy theories on
Oh
so many
my dear
levels.
lord.
Wow.
There, there, there's some interesting ones though. There's some heavy hitters there. Like,
All right,
all
what are
right.
your
So
heavy hitters? Let me know.
all right, the heavy hitter was that the shooter,
Uh huh.
the Black Rock thing that he was in that video with the Black Rock. That
Okay.
one was weird that they deleted the video and then some of the information. That one was like, okay, what? And BlackRock is a whole nother conspiracy, but they're one of the juggernauts. That was one of them, and then the whole scripted that this was scripted by Trump and his group and his party.
Oh yeah, that one's been
Yeah,
an
that
interesting
one's
one. I'm
like
following that.
he orchestrated this assassination attempt, and that this was just all a gimmick to get him to win the presidency, to put him at forefront as the number one candidate. And the truth is, you and I jokingly said it after it happened. I was like, "It's done. He's done. That's it. We're
Yeah.
done. He's winning it like 100%." Unless he just fumbles the debates with Biden potentially because he's got COVID now, and I don't know if the future from when this airs or whatnot that he may actually have backed out by now because of health concerns. But it's just I personally don't think the conspiracy that he orchestrated it. There's too many things that w- would tell me other, and one of them is the bullet that they have pictures of the bullets passing by and seeing. I'm like, dude, like if you watch the breakdown of how he moved, and that's
Mm-hmm.
just his mannerisms, like how he is, how animated he is and talking, like, dude, he was like this close of getting killed. Like it was amazing that the way he is and his character, that he just moves slightly, is what caused him. And it caused it to save his life. And I'm gonna say something that might be it's a hot take, but bro, it changed him. He's a
Oh, you
different
think so?
person.
Yeah. You think the
He's a different
smiling?
person. The smiling, how he
Yeah.
is, how he's carrying himself. A lot of people yesterday say he was rambling. I was like, nah, man, this changed him. And you know what my girl says? She said something very interesting, that she feels that if you believe in the whole secret, and that you're manifesting your destiny, that this man is manifesting all of this. He's literally making all of this happen, because how else can you explain all of this? Like, he's like, as someone said, it is like this man should be out in a golf course, retired, doing
Yeah.
retired stuff, and he's putting himself out there to be the president again. Like, he's literally speaking his life into existence. What he's saying, like, if this was like 17 something, 16 something, this man would be considered a god at this point.
Yeah. It's pretty.
It's
It's
insane.
it's insane the amount of plot armor that Trump wears. You know. I think one there. So there's a couple interesting things here that I want to dig into. There's actually two versions of that conspiracy that you were talking about, where Trump planned it, and they're not really like the intent is different, right?
Hmm.
So the one that I've heard is that in order to stay out of jail and in order to avoid prosecution, Trump set this up. And the way that he set it up was so that it would be an assassination attempt to tip him on over to the winning side, because he has nothing to lose, because he doesn't want to spend the rest of his life in jail. Now, I don't agree with that, because I don't think any of those conspiracies that Trump set this up actually make sense. Personally, I think it's ridiculous to think, given that shot was. There's no way you can time that. Let's start with that. There's
No
no way
way.
you could orchestrate that in a way where you're guaranteeing Trump's safety, which is why this second version of the conspiracy theory came out as a way to account for that. He has nothing to lose, so it doesn't matter. He's got a lot to lose. He's got a family. Even if he was in prison, he would be in the best prisons. He would still be making TV in prison. That's the thing is
They don't
I
go
don't
to
I
the
don't
same
buy
type
it.
prisons that you and I would go to if we did something incriminating. Like, let's just be real. Like, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, and so I don't think any of those make sense. I think I've heard another theory that Biden administration has set it up, and this comes in a gradient of theories. So the cheapest version of this theory is that they stacked the Secret Service with the worst of the worst in order to make it so that if an attempt happened, it would have the best possible success outcome. So let's
I look.
start with that
So
one.
okay. So right. I'm gonna be real, right?
Here, let me get
And
the sensor out. Hold on.
okay. And I don't, and I'm not a Trump, you know voter. I didn't vote for Trump. I voted for Biden. I like Trump. I like the guy, and when I tell people this, they're like, "How can you like this?" But I was like, I like him. I like him as a person. I used to like him before he got into politics. You know, I thought he was an interesting character. He is charming. He is charismatic. He has that, the Riz, right? And it just works right now for the people. Okay, and where I'm going to go with this is, I think it was a total system failure. That why this happened. I think that they didn't have the proper people in position, as far as like the Secret Service that was there. They didn't have enough people. They really didn't properly scan it. If you look at the area, it is in the middle of nowhere in the, boondocks. It is not secure. You're not going to be able to secure that area because they have aerial pictures of that, right? It looks like someone's backyard field, right? There's like a
Mm-hmm.
couple houses here, a couple houses there, building here, building there. There's no way they were going to be able to secure it. By me just looking at these videos and pictures, you could tell there's not enough people to protect a presidential candidate. Now, the amount of snipers that were on the roof, I believe, was adequate for the event, how it was. But this is a high profile individual that they needed a lot more, and they failed on that aspect. The local police department also failed on securing the whole area, right?
Yeah, I
Like
saw that.
they recorded that and they were like, I don't know. And the truth is, no one is prepared for this. No one is trained for this. No one is taught how to really survey an area to make sure that's completely protected, right?
Well, the
There's so
Secret
much going.
Service that's their whole
Bro,
job.
they let me know other. The video, everything that
Oh,
happened,
the
let
way
me
that they
know other.
discussed it, yeah.
The way they discussed it, the way everything
Well,
happened, the
that's
way.
incompetence, though, right? Like that's, and I
Yeah,
think
but
that's
that
where,
tells me that their whole damn thing is incompetent, right?
well,
It's because they
from
have not
top
had
down,
scares. Yeah, yeah. They have not had scares like this since potentially the 80s, since Ronald Reagan, right?
right?
So what they have to go back is to the textbook and start teaching them again in FBI University. What it is just like, hey, this was a failure in our system. We need to go back and readjust what we're doing and protect our candidates, right? We can't become Mexico where they kill like 80 something damn candidates every damn year.
Oh, that
That
was
like someone,
wild. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
that you can't, we can't be that, right? And it's a system failure, unfortunately. Now, the whole shooter thing, how he got up there, that was also a failure. Like people saw him and they did nothing, like nothing.
With a
And
gun, they saw
with the
him.
gun, right? And that he
Yeah.
was up there a long time. The video the day before of him being around there, like, there's comedians making fun of this, going like, "Hey, someone suspicious is there. This doesn't seem right. They're out of place. Like, maybe you guys should do something." He's just walking around looking. Now, he might have not been a stable person. Um, the one person that they interviewed could be a plant, could be also fake, but I slightly believe him saying like, "Hey, dude, he was a weird guy. He got bullied horribly in school.
Mm-hmm.
This guy wore hunting clothes to school, bro.
Oh
Hunting
yeah.
clothes to school. How do you think he got bullied at school? This guy just reads that unfortunately. Like I hate to say it, but it's a product of his environment, unfortunately, what happened to this guy.
And we've all known
And
a kid like this in
I
growing
don't I
up,
didn't
right?
want to say it. I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it.
But you do.
Jokingly, I don't want to say it. But if there's a textbook picture of someone like this is him. Thomas Matthew Crooks. Bro, the kid said it. He's like he was a super loner. He had lunch by himself. He would get bullied. He'd get beat up. Like it was the worst. He's like, and even the guy says, I'm not surprised this happened. And it was a failure of our system. And it's unfortunate. Yeah, you say, oh, we're the best in the world. No, security detail. No, we're not. And I don't even care about the whole DEI stuff going on in the FBI. Like, no, that's just because
What
a
DEI
woman
stuff
at
is going on? I don't actually don't know that one.
uh, diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? That they've been trying to do that in FBI. This is the highest amount that women have been put into these positions, have been bringing in. And dude, like I hate to say it, dude, is what is a 5'3" woman? trying to protect the president. That's 6-3. They were breaking it down, right? The next day there was videos. There was like all analysts, all news anchors, casters, whatever you want to call them. They were all saying like, dude, she wasn't even the height for his kill zone. Like she wasn't
Oh,
even if she threw her body to and tried to protect him because that's not what she did. She ducked, right? And my heart goes out to this lady, right? Because she's gonna like no one's prepared for that. As much as you're trained, people panic. People are gonna panic.
well, Chris, would you take a bullet for the potential president, Trump?
If that was my job and I knew that's what I signed up for and that was my detail, then yes, because that's what I signed up for. But if I was put in a position and be like, hey, this is what you're gonna do, this is what you're gonna be a part of, we're gonna include you, and she didn't know what she was doing. She fumbled, and like I said, my heart goes out to her because anybody in that situation, including myself, would have done the exact same thing she did. I would have panicked the way she panicked. I would have ducked down. I would have stumbled, fumbled with my gun. I would have been saying like, "What do we do? What do we do? I don't know what to do." Like, and like I said, my heart goes out to her and her career because it was awful to watch.
No, I did see
And
the fumbling with the gun. I didn't see the other piece
the
where
infamous picture where she's like crouching down,
I didn't see that. Do you have that? Actually, I didn't even see that on the
Ah,
conspiracy
man.
subreddit. Was it
And
on
that's
here?
just like, I think so. Her,
Oh,
like
wait,
that.
is this it?
That's her. That's the whole thing that she fumbled it. But there's another picture where she's like crouching down,
I saw the
and
fumbling thing, and my thoughts on that are, it is just training. You know, um, anyone that works you need to have fire drills, and you need to make sure everybody knows how to, do the basic operations. Now, the height thing is interesting. I hadn't thought about that. I mean, would you would you argue then that you need to have like
okay,
kingpin
so here's the
level
thing,
people
dude. Here's the
protecting the
thing, right?
president?
And I hate to say it, put him on the map is Osmond Gold had a video. His audience showed him a video. He's like, oh, all of a sudden the next day Trump's got like 15 Chads, all big,
Oh, big and buff.
chat,
Okay,
all
yeah.
big and buff security detail around him. Secret Service is saying like all of a sudden, it's just like you couldn't make this up. Like it's just comical. But look, in her defense, there was also another agent on the other side that no one took pictures of, but there's just public video of him doing the exact same thing on the other side. He ducks down and he panics the same way. So it goes both ways. Like it's just not men and women. Like just not women. It's also men this happens to. And unfortunately, sometimes in those situations, you're run or fight flight, whatever the saying is, like you'll panic. It's human nature, and
Oh, absolutely.
unfortunately, they're in a profession where they can't have that. And like I said, my heart goes out to her. Um, I feel bad for her. I mean,
I
I even
mean,
feel bad
why?
for the
I
guy
don't.
too, like
I think
because
it's,
they're beating him up. They're beating him up. They're beating
dude.
him
I
up.
actually
It's
haven't
not
seen.
fair.
I mean, I haven't seen any of that. Is that just like in regular media? Because I've only really
Yeah.
been paying attention to the conspiracy subreddit just for
Bro, it wasn't even
shits
the
and
regular
giggles.
media. It was just a video that was shown saying
Yeah.
like did they because okay, so what ended up happening is they had an interview with the director and saying, "Did you think that you failed in this situation?" And she was saying like, "No, I don't believe we failed." And then they show that aspect of her ducking down and doing that and like someone has to be held accountable for her for these actions and they're trying to hold her accountable. They're going to feed her to the wolves. If Trump gets elected, she's getting fired right away. Like in all honesty, like she should just like resign from it and just move on.
Well, here's my thoughts on this. I think, and I'm not like a security expert, but I think the simple solution to bypass all of this conversation is that any potential presidential candidate needs to campaign behind a bulletproof glass.
You look, but then at that
That
point is
kind of
just
solves
what
it.
okay, so here's the thing is that doesn't make our country look safe.
Oh, dude, fuck the looking safe. Be
And
safe.
if the rest of the world already thinks we're not a safe place to come to, they're like, school shootings, mass shootings. It's just that's what it needs to be. It's gonna be the Pope mobiles. What you're telling me?
Yeah, no,
They need to come around to the Pope mobile.
I think it needs to be set up that way because you're right when you're looking at the conspiracy subreddit has had tons of posts about the breakdown of the position of the shooter, the position of how this thing was set up. It's clearly they weren't doing their due diligence. I think at least it
They
looks
didn't,
like that. Like
and I
like
like, and to defend them, it's just like maybe they didn't think that it was gonna be that serious, right? Like there was no threats, no known threats already. Nobody, like, they know this, right? And they said that this person wasn't even on their radar. So it's just like you can't always. They didn't plan for it. There wasn't a plan for a non-radar person to try to go and infiltrate an area to try to assassinate the presidential candidate, and
I know
that's a
I just
failure of the system. It
where I'm
sounds
coming from
silly.
with this is the reason why I don't care about like the optics of how putting a presidential candidate behind the cage is because just like you're talking about like the woman and the guy who ducked instead of covering the president, right?
Yes.
Bro, I don't want to have the Secret Service taking a bullet for Donald
But
Trump or
that's
Biden.
what we've always known. That's what they do.
Yeah, but we
That's like
have
their
this
job,
amazing technology that's
bro.
called
Like, okay,
bulletproof see-through
I
glass
I
that's
understand
going to
what you're
save a
saying.
life. Could
I
save
understand
two
what you're
lives
saying.
because a
But
person did
dude,
die.
if you watch it from beginning to end, when it's the segment of, like, I think it's like 4 minutes long, where I think they spot him to the shooting, to like them jumping on him, dude, they dogpile him. So
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
it
Yeah, it's wild.
exists. It exists to be like, protect the president at all cost. It
Oh, yeah.
exists.
I just don't want people doing that. Like when you can just put up some glass and just let people know. Like it's the same reason. Yeah, people want to say like, "Oh, I remember when I didn't have to lock my doors." So I never remember not locking doors. Like lock your doors and windows, people. Plain and simple. It's the
Yeah,
easiest
dude.
way to keep
I'll
someone
get up in
out.
the middle. I'll get up in the middle and I go like, did I lock the door?
Yeah,
And I'll go and
dude.
check it. I can't go to sleep right unless I go check the stupid
Dude,
door. I think I just been classically conditioned.
I woke up one day and the door I did not lock it and I didn't remember doing anything, and I didn't have a panic attack, but I checked the house up and down because I was like, there had to be a motherfucker in here last night. It wasn't me. It wasn't my fault that I didn't lock the thing. Someone broke in.
No.
You know.
That's what you thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It's just like, but you're always gonna have people that are gonna try to do something like that, regardless if you do. You protect them, right? Like the whole movie In the Line of Fire is like
Mm-hmm.
that,
Oh
about that
yeah.
the guy's gonna try to kill the president. John Malkovich is the killer in it. But there's also bombs.
But that's just security. Security is always a cat and mouse chase. If you have, that's why the planning and the resources, like they should have probably never had that rally, I guess is what they call it, at that location. Like the
No,
location should be signed off by the Secret Service and planned, in my
but
opinion.
see that, yeah, that, no, you're absolutely right. Like, it should be at venues or somewhere where you know
Yes.
that, like, it could be secured. The whole, like, whatever grounds, 500 square feet, whatever they did decide, like, that needs to be. But like in an open field like that, like,
Exactly. Like
okay,
a
okay, so
drone
that
could come in and fuck up the president. That's the thing.
you're not wrong. But now things are gonna change. Like, I know he loves that, but his people will follow him to fucking stadiums, bro, and that's what it should be.
Yeah.
Like, that's what he should be doing, because that could be secure to an extent. Because if you watch the Copa America, those things were not secure or safe either.
Right. Yeah,
But
but it's a matter of control. I think being able to control most of the environment versus this was a situation where and Trump's not a person who likes to be controlled. I think is fair to say. So he's gonna say like, oh, let's go to this.
yeah, I think he did it for the points, right? To be like,
Yeah.
I want to be with my community, I want to be with the people. But I think Trump needs to understand, and anybody who ever gets in this political position and has won the people over already, like he doesn't need to do that anymore. He's already has it.
Yeah.
She has it already. Like in future candidates, like because things like this are dangerous. In Mexico and in other countries where they do get assassinated, it's always in open venues.
Mm-hmm.
Always. It's always someone that just walking in the crowd comes in and boom. As long as I can remember, as long as I can, I've seen news reels of it. It's always that, always open venues. The candidates with the people, they're walking around. They're just made a presentation, and some random person comes in with a gun and shoots them.
Do you think essentially that the Biden administration stacked the Secret Service in a way to optimize and create gaps so that if a shooter did show up, they would have the best success? Do you think that that's true? Because it's either going to be they set it up that way, or the Secret Service is incompetent.
I'm gonna say both,
Okay.
and that's conspiracy time. This is conspiracy time. I think because the fact is, I think his security detail asked for more and they denied it.
Oh.
And I think, yeah, now this is, it may be hearsay, but that they asked for more, they wanted more, and they denied it is what is going around the internet. Okay. So with that, and I think that's what the conspiracy that I was gonna talk about, saying that they asked for more, they wanted different people, they wanted more people, and I think they wanted more snipers. And one of the reasons why they didn't give them snipers is because the whole area wasn't safe and the angle was too crazy. But then someone showed them the angle of the cow on the building
Oh yeah, that's ridiculous. It's
and saying like, "Oh, a cow could
ridiculous.
go up there." Like you guys are killing me,
Yeah.
and that the area too around it, like they wanted more security, but there was like no block off or something like that too. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
things like that make me wonder. But to defend it is, I think she was trying to make it seem like, hey, who we're putting in, the women we're putting in is adequate. And that's what we want to put. We believe it's adequate. And it's not that they wanted adequate, they just wanted a lot more. They wanted it to be safer, right? To secure the area, which wasn't. Now, the conspiracy to think that it was Biden's team trying to like make it possible for him to get assassinated it is out there. It is possible because it's like, well, why they would they deny this? Why would they deny less Secret Service? And that's a whole other conspiracy about like JFK,
Mm-hmm.
RFK not getting any at all. And he's also, even if he may only have 3%, the rules are he should get some too, and he's getting denied too. That's kind of iffy. And then them talking, multiple Democrats talking that, hey, he needs to get assassinated or get killed, like he needs to be put away. Um, and then weird things about like what was happening. Um, a bunch of conspiracy theories on that. Like not enough to go to like say it on here to say like, hey, this is what it is, but they were saying like, hey, this is what was going on. BlackRock was also involved. I don't. I think it's stretching, but I'm gonna say yeah. I do believe a little bit. I believe like 10%
I
that
see
Biden.
as you're talking, all like movies of these conspiracies just going around your head like it's a Looney Tunes cartoon, and you're just like, "What's going on?" Like I can't make
But
heads or tails of this. Yeah, there's a
it's
lot,
exactly
right?
like that. Like all the
Yeah.
movies that have ever been out about conspiracy theories, you're just like, it happened. I saw it in real life going like, dude, these conspiracies are based off of some type of fact, like a little bit, even if it's like 5 to 10%, they're based off of like people's possible theories of like, hey, this is inside job. This is someone trying to get rid of another political candidate. And this is how I would do it. And this is how I would suggest them to do it and it failed. Like, dude, like if Trump did not move, he would not be alive today.
Yeah.
That's how I
Very
should
small
see.
movement, by the way. Very
It
small.
was it was enough, like boop, and that was it. And it's crazy to know that that's what Like the person was going for the eye, and because he went like this, it just went like I don't. You know what scares me is that everyone took it like nothing serious happened to him, and that's what worries me.
Well, hold on,
Or
because
maybe
I
I'm the
think
only one that I maybe I'm the only one that feels like that.
regarding whether or not it's a conspiracy theory that Biden's administration had something to do with the shooting, I do not want to say that I believe that, and I think it comes on two flavors, which I mentioned, which is the stacking, intentionally stacking the Secret Service so that they are not staffed, they don't have the resources, they're not covering what they need to cover, so that it creates this area of insecurity, so that if there is a shooter, Trump will, have the best chances of not making it out alive. I don't think that that's the case. I think it's much more likely that it is what we discussed earlier, which is that the Secret Service itself hasn't been keeping up with the training required, because there hasn't been this level of stakes, and we haven't seen uh, a shooter, I think, since the 80s. Now, there have
Yeah,
been attempts. There have been a lot of attempts. I know every single president has had some kind of thing that's gotten thwarted. So there's also the bias from us right now that this is the first big thing that we've seen happen. Right, they've thwarted all kinds of attacks. You can go through Wikipedia and see that there's like a whole history of other attacks that the Secret Service has taken. Now, having said that, things like fumbling your holster in the public eye, and you know the inconsistency with the actions of the agents during the incident, that speaks to me that it's something around training. I want to get your take on the actual bullet shot and Trump moving his head, because this isn't a conspiracy, but this is potentially theology. Because the next step is, I've been hearing a lot of Republicans who are very religious say that this was in fact an act of God. Your thoughts?
not a religious person, born and raised Catholic, bro. I do believe in something that created everything, like a higher being, intelligence. But this is almost like it's close to it. It's just it's weird. It's just I can't
All right,
explain
get
why
into it,
this
man.
man is still alive. I can't like I God damn it, I can't believe I'm gonna say this. I think it's a miracle.
Wow.
I think it's pure coincidence that he just like it's beautiful to say that an act of God is the reason why Donald Trump is still alive, right? It's beautiful, right? To think that, to believe that, to have that belief, which has a dangerous side to it, right? But it's like if that was me and if I was in that situation and I was former president, I'm running again because I don't like the way things are in my belief system. I go to some event. I know the people love me. I like doing that because I think Trump likes doing it, right? For whatever reason, he finds he has a need to do it, to go up there, to hear the shots and then realize that I didn't get shot and then go back and watch everything because most likely he watched everything. Or they told him everything, and to be like, I was this close to dying, literally, like, this is how close I was. Like, it's hard to say that God may have interfered on this, like intervened on this, right? And even like my fiance said, is just like, dude, this is crazy. Like to see this, like if we were 400 years ago, 500 years ago, they would say this man is a god.
Mm.
Like the fact that he escaped death this way, and I am still here. And like I told you, I think he's a different person. I think he's changed. Like something happened to him. I think most people that have had close death encounters, because that's what he had, right? He had
Mm-hmm.
a
Oh yeah.
close death encounter, and someone who has had that, it changes you. You're different. I don't know what to say. I can't. I don't write it off as it was like a religious experience. Like I can't say it. Like I can't write it off. I don't know. I can't tell you.
Wow,
I
that's
can't tell you.
big. It's
I can't
big. I
tell
know.
you.
No, I
And
know.
I don't
And
like. I don't like. I'm not religious. I don't go to
mhm.
church. I don't. I don't have a Bible in my house. I have a couple crosses because my parents have given it to me. To protect myself. I'm a God-fearing atheist at the end of the day. I guess. But to think that, like, yeah, like divine intervention. I don't know. How else would you say? Like, how can you say this? Is it coincidence? It's a very strong coincidence for me. Like, I just think like I don't know. Fuck, dude, it changed me. Like how I feel about him.
Oh, interesting.
It changed me how I feel about him. And I don't know why. Like I can't tell you why. Like it's not that what he says resonates with me because the very next day I watched the RNC thing and I was like, ugh.
Yeah, no, I
I was
feel you
like,
on that.
yikes,
Yeah.
yikes, But I don't know, man. It was just one of those things. Was just it's such a crazy time to be alive. What a wonderful, time to be alive. Like, oh my god, like I've experienced so many things in my life, and I was like, okay, presidential attempt, assassination attempt, check. It's like it's just crazy.
Well, they have been going on. Like Obama had assassination
Yes, I
attempts.
saw
They
that. The
just,
amount of people that I had,
yeah,
which one did I? George W. Bush. He had a grenade tossed at him that didn't
yeah,
blow up, and
yeah.
I don't remember this. That's fucking crazy. He said the only reason why it didn't blow up is because a handkerchief was tied on it. Literally, it's the very first thing that I read, and so he's not the only one, but
Now, here's my
I think he
question
was the
to you.
closest one to getting assassinated. He was the closest one
Well, that we know of, like, and I
that we
haven't done
know of.
extensive research on. I'm actually kind of curious to see like what kind of funky stuff has happened that the Secret Service has released. But here's my next question, and this is still in this theology space, right? Is would it change your mind at all if you knew that the shooter had been rejected from being able to take rifle classes because he was a very bad shot? Not just a bad shot, but they assessed him to be as so bad that he couldn't take rifling classes.
Is this true?
This is true. This is true. Would that change your mind at all?
No,
Okay, that's fair.
he almost did it.
I mean, he got really close for sure. Absolutely.
The only reason why Trump is alive is because of the movement, and and even if this guy was a bad shot, like he almost connected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did. Well, he did connect. He connected with Trump's ear. Like he
Well, he almost
actually,
connected for the kill shot. He almost
yeah.
connected, right?
No, he almost
Maybe
got it.
someone, but that's the thing, right? It's like this guy wasn't a trained marksman, right? Like Lee Harvey Oswald, I think they said that he was trained and that, but this guy wasn't trained for that. He took his family AR, put in an adapter. I'm gonna climb up this roof. I'm gonna crawl over there, and I'm gonna try to kill the presidential nominee, former president. I mean, that sounds crazy, and he almost did it.
Yeah.
Which
Well,
doesn't surprise me that he was a terrible shot.
yeah. I mean, the terrible shot thing is, if a person hadn't died, I would. And I actually made a joke about this at work, and I felt bad about it because I realized the person did die during this attempt. But I did make a joke about him being a bad shot and being kicked out. And then obviously, you can't you can joke about these things. Comedians are already joking about them, and that's perfectly fine. I love comedy, but I don't feel like it's cool to joke about this stuff, especially right now. But I do want to chime in with my take on the whole theology thing, and I think I'm an atheist, right, On my best days, on my worst days, I might be agnostic, right? I'm gonna waver between those, but mostly I
Agnostic,
would
yeah.
mostly atheist. And I would say that I think if we dug into former stories involved with presidential assassination attempts, which there's been a whole bunch, I think we'd see similar stories. We just wouldn't have seen them at the public level. There's so many eyes on politics right now. And this was such a monumental blunder just from beginning to end that um, what I would say is that I wouldn't characterize it as a miracle, and any more than I would characterize it as a miracle when you're watching the Super Bowl and the team that you are
No,
rooting
you
for,
did.
yeah, the team you're rooting
Comes back.
for comes back and the other team fumbles the ball, right? And you happen to pray for it. So, I my take
That's
on
a
it is this:
team, bro. That's not one person. You know what I mean? It takes a team.
this is the big one. I linked you an article about Jack Black and Kyle Gass, aka Tenacious D. And they are not the only people who are getting backlash for making comments about the assassination, saying, "Hey, that let's pray that they get another shot." Really being aggressive and really just kind of taking it to that next level and encouraging people to essentially try again. And they are getting fucking canceled. They
Yeah.
are self-canceling, they're canceling each other. They are like there's something in the air because I'm telling you right now in 2016 if these comments had been made and an attempt was made, you know what would have happened? They would have been applauded for making these comments. They would have been considered brave, and I know because that's just how the media was portraying it, and it would have been a joke, kind of thing. But something has changed in the air. So I guess my question to you is, what have you noticed?
It's a conspiracy. This is conspiracy, right? We're going like, hey, right now it's a really bad time to do what's it called? The tasteless joke, right? Or what's I don't know the terminology for it, right? Um and people are like, you know, backtracking on any jokes that they're making about the president, right? So I'm going to tell you how I see it as a person of color,
Okay.
right? Because he has been known to say some messed up things that I don't agree with. Build a wall, deport them, send them back, and even yesterday, the RNC thingy, and the thing that I said that I was like, ugh, is he was like, send them back, this whole thing, right? So I think what people may sense or feel, and this is just a conspiracy, this is just my humble feelings on what I feel and what I'm seeing, right? Is so Donald Trump won president. He was president. He was in there. He did a lot of good things, did a lot of bad things, right? And I can't tell you all the good things he's done, and I can't tell you all the bad things he's done. He didn't really build a wall. He really didn't deport anybody. He really didn't do anything bad to people of color. But the fact that this person then went away, lost the presidents, there was this uprising that made you think like, he still felt that way, but just never really acted out on it. And I think now people are afraid that if he gets reelected and he goes into office, what if he does turn into this? What if
Mm,
this time around he's really going to act out on all these things? He's really going to clean the swamp. He's really going to build this wall. He's really going to deport these people. Like, how does that people, how does it make them feel?
mm-hmm.
And I think that's what's happening right now, right? All of a sudden, it's not okay to make fun of Trump because he's been the most powerful person in the world for 4 years, lost it, and is now being in a position to be put back in it. I believe stronger. I believe Super Saiyan Trump is the way I'm going to explain it. It makes him a very powerful person, but also a dangerous person. And I think that's why people feel like you need to stop him, but now no one's going to say anything. We make fun of it, make fun of AI images, do everything I got to do. But there's a slight bit of me as being a person of color that I'm slightly worried. And I think that's what's happening. I think people sense that and feel that going like, oh, I can't be that person that's against Trump because right now I believe this man's going to win by the biggest landslide history this country's ever known.
Holy
And,
shit.
and that's how I feel as a person of color. All of a sudden, it's just like, well, where's my MAGA hat? Tell me I'm
Okay,
wrong.
so yeah, so just to reiterate what you're saying or make sure that I understand it, you think he's got this bulletproof vest on because everyone knows that he's going to win at this point, and you don't want to be
Yes,
any more of a target. You don't want to anger the god essentially any more than.
exactly. The
Oh, dude,
demigod.
that's fucked up. That's fucked up. That's messed up, dude. I'm not going
And
to
I think
disagree
some
with
people,
you at all on that one.
and I think that's what I think. That's what I feel.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna get personal here. Is my mom came to visit me yesterday, and she said something fucked up, and I was like, "Mom, you can't say that. Like, that's not okay." She's like, "Well, he doesn't like us. We're Latino. He doesn't love us." I was like, "Mom, it's all show. Like, don't believe that." She's like, "I'm just worried he's gonna get elected because he's gonna." That's what mom said. She's like, "And then what if he does everything he says we're gonna do?" My
Mm-hmm.
mom came to this country in 19 what like 68, and she's been here forever. She's known this country more than she's known her home country, and that's how she feels. And my dad feels like that too. So it's kind of scary that people feel like that. They're like, I really hope like Biden gets out. My mom says, and have like Newsom come in
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want him in office. Like I'm scared of him being in office. And this is like my mom saying this. So I was just like, oh wow, people really feel that way.
I mean, it's a fair
And that's just
concern.